What is going on, guys? J Crypto here once again with another cryptocurrency video for you. Now, earlier today, I had the amazing opportunity to interview Edgar Bers from over at Hashflare. Now, he's been a part of Hashflare since 2015, and he has a very interesting job description. I'm going to let him talk about that for himself later on in the interview, but essentially, he's the guy who makes sure everything is running as smoothly as possible over at Hashflare, and it was really great to talk face to face with somebody over at Hashflare because I really do enjoy their cryptocurrency mining services. I really do benefit from their services, and I really do appreciate all the hard work that they're doing over there to make sure that we, the users, have the best experience possible. Now, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. Many questions are questions that you guys have been asking me in the comments section of videos, so make sure you stick around through the end of the video to hear everything he has to say. A lot of great information. I think a lot of you are definitely going to enjoy this interview. Guys, if you have not yet signed up for Hashflare and you would like to, you can click the link in the description of this video. You can purchase your first Bitcoin mining contract today and start receiving your daily Bitcoin payouts tomorrow. Now, just some good news as a side note, guys. According to Edgar, there is a very good chance that the SHA 256 contracts will not be selling out. You'll hear him talk about that more later. But guys, these Bitcoin contracts are very profitable, and they are not available anywhere else for this price except for Hashflare. So if you've been thinking about mining Bitcoin, make sure to click the link in the description of this video and get started right away. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play the interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. All right, everyone, I am here with Edgar Bers. He is the support specialist over at Hashflare. How are you doing today, Edgar?
Hi, I'm wonderful. I'm here to answer all your questions.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the channel for this interview. I know I'm really excited to have you here, and I know a lot of my subscribers are also really excited to hear what you have to say. So for those of you who may not be familiar with who you are and what you do, can you just start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do over at Hashflare?
Right. So I'm not really a support specialist in Hashflare. I work for marketing, from sales, from business development, for communications. So I rather negotiate when I'm required to. I keep track on all the changes and updates and everything that's happening in the crypto world. My job is to make sure that the idea, that the message that can appear at the user side or at the management side is conveyed to another party. So my job here is to make sure that everything's running smoothly and we are doing what we should be doing, and according to the market, according to customer requests, well, and according to common sense, obviously. And we at Hashflare, the Hashflare for us, first things first, Hashflare is the name of the service that has been developed by our company. Our company is Hashcoins. We have been doing cryptocurrency development, hardware manufacturing some time ago. Right now, we focus on blockchain developments and tokenization of businesses, etc. Hashflare is one of our services that we have developed like 5 years ago. We had never expected it to grow so big as it is now, and what we do here is we try to offer a service. I mean, all of us here in the company, we are all like internet enthusiasts, people who believe that we are living more and more online than offline. So every possible service should be available for you online, including acquiring of cryptocurrencies. And acquiring of cryptocurrencies can happen in two ways, like buying cryptocurrencies and mining cryptocurrencies. And it's a common problem that, people want to mine their bitcoins because when you buy bitcoins, you never know who is the seller. And previously, you really wanted to have these white bitcoins that have just been freshly mined, have never been to any other wallets, and you're 100% sure that the tokens, that the bitcoins are clear, are white. that leads us and many people to need to mine them, to mine the cryptocurrency. But at the same time, not everyone can allow itself to buy a $2,000 worth cryptocurrency miner. It's quite expensive. But some people can spare a couple of dollars, some a dozen, some 100. For everyone, the check is different. But what we are try to allow to do with our platform is for everyone to get into the sphere. We want to educate people. We want to later even host our own education shows to explain to people what is cryptocurrencies, how to deal with it, how not to get tricked, how to maybe invest in it, but without any advices. But just explaining the basics, how it works, how scammers work, how good people work, what's good in the technology, what's speculation, what can blockchain do, what it cannot. Because, for example, I'm sorry, I'm not getting you into the conversation right now.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Just today I found some information regarding our statistics, and we are close to hitting 2 million customers, 2 million registered users within Hashflare, and it's not 10 times, it's maybe almost 10 times more than we had in the beginning of the 2017. And not just us have the same number. For example, you may have heard that Binance, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges, they have just shut down registrations of new users. And the same thing applies to Bitfinex and many other exchanges. The number of people who are trying to get into cryptocurrency is immense. There's so much people that are trying to get in, and the education level. I mean, how well people know what cryptocurrencies are and are not. This level is also fading with the influx of new users. So we're here trying to make sure that everyone who gets into the cryptosphere understand what it is, why it is, and what could be done with it, what's the future of it, and why should we believe and what should we avoid. So that's probably the agenda.
Right. Now, what steps are you guys going to be implementing, I guess, because you mentioned like educational materials and stuff like that for people. Do you have stuff like that available now, or is that something that you guys are going to be doing in the future?
It's a thought that we have been tossing around for quite a while now. We have everything we need for that. We have even ideas and concept of what we want to do. We have a small pilot project we are running now. It's not video-based tutorial like education videos. It's we have our own website related to cryptocurrency news. It's still in Russian because we're just testing how it works, testing the website, the platform. We want to create a hub, a community like Reddit, but related solely to cryptocurrencies for all the aspects, for technology and blockchain, for investments and ICOs, for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Litecoin, for ecosystems like Ethereum, EOS, Ripple, IOTA, for as many different parts of the crypto world as possible to combine all of them together and deliver the message to the people. Right now, we are trying to educate them on the main cryptocurrencies, what they are, why do they exist. For example, you may as well decide to one day make a solid research on the top 20 cryptocurrencies out there in the cryptocurrency market, except BitConnect, because it's in the top 20, but it's, well, you'll find out what it is because there are some interesting news coming from states just yesterday or today, so you might find them today. And each one of the cryptocurrencies presented in the top 20 offers something different, something interesting, something that can really make an impact to the world we live in.
Right.
Maybe it won't happen overnight. It obviously won't happen overnight, but I believe that in 5 to 10 years we're going to see a vast development, a lot of development being done in the sphere and outside of the currently crypto-only ecosystems. For example, Mark Zuckerberg has just recently made a publication where he stated that he has interest in cryptocurrencies. He is thinking whether there could be a possibility to combine crypto and Facebook, which would also be nice.
Right.
For example, you might use cryptocurrencies and the blockchain specifically to keep track of, for example, of media channels, to find who among those are spreading fake news, and they won't have a chance to delete something and then say we have nothing to do with that because the blockchain remembers. And using that information, hashed information or any information from the blockchain, you can get to the truth when you need to.
Very interesting. Now, when it comes to running such a huge mining operation like you do over at Hashflare, like what are some of the main challenges that you guys have to deal with more on like a daily basis?
Well, main challenges, you see, there is not so many challenges when it comes to running the mining facility, because in most cases the facilities, we just pay the fee for the facility operators to operate miners, because more than half of our facilities, I mean the data centers, we don't own data centers, we rent them. But even those, for example, we have just signed an agreement to get into a new data center in Iceland. We will still have the technician on that in Iceland that will work on getting the hardware, installing it, connecting it, and doing everything. I mean, the maintenance. So we don't really. It's not a burden for us at this stage. But what is a problem for us is two things. First, scalability issues of Hashflare. Second, scalability issues of Bitcoin. First things first is Hashflare. When we developed it back in 2014, we didn't really expect it to have even 100,000 customers. Now we have 2 million. I mean, some people, maybe you as well, have seen the 502 gateway error when you try to log into Hashflare. What's that? Well, that's our system saying that it cannot fit any more users at the same time. So we have to just reallocate some of our servers to share the load on different parts of the website to make sure more people can get online at the same time. We are doing the Hashflare 2.0 right now.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest issues. We have to, because these lags cause issues to customers who then create a lot of tickets to our support desk, and there we get a lot of requests. So we just need to hire more and more people to answer questions which couldn't even exist if the system were functioning correctly. And it will eventually, but we're still getting there. The second thing is the Bitcoin scalability. Right now, we get a lot of criticism for. You may know that the commissions in the Bitcoin network can be so high that, for example, just today I've been doing a Bitcoin transaction which it costed me 0.001 BTC, which is like 10 or just a little bit over $10 for the transaction. If you've purchased $2 worth of hash rate in Hashflare, the odds are you won't be able to withdraw what you have mined because the commission is higher than the return on investment. It's a big issue, and we cannot do anything about that because that's the Bitcoin's baby issue. And unless it's somehow resolved at Bitcoin Core's end, we cannot do anything but just get the hate for it. I mean, we're getting a lot of hate for that, but that's all right because it's a temporary issue again.
Right, yeah. A lot of people, they just don't understand the way it works. You know, you guys have no control over the Bitcoin network. But speaking of Hashflare 2.0, I wanted to ask you about that because, you just posted the blog about it, I think, right before the new year, and a lot of us are really excited about it. Maybe you could just go into a little bit of detail about what exactly is Hashflare 2.0, and what are some of the main changes or differences between Hashflare as it is now and Hashflare 2.0?
First of all, there are first of all is of course the stability thing. We want to make sure that there is no way for the service to go down or offline unless we want it to, unless we have a planned maintenance for which we need to disable the service, etc. But we want to go further. We are now creating ourselves a test network where we will be testing all the new updates to the system before deploying it to the live server. Right now, we only have the live server, so every time we add something new, we have to at the same time either get the website down, test everything as quick as possible, which also can result in issues, or we have to like build the plane while it's flying, which well, it's a hassle. It's not that easy as it sounds because there's too much space for a mistake, too much room to make something wrong and not being able to test it before deploying to the live service. So that's the first thing. Another thing is, of course, redesign. You want it to be a smoother, more modern, more minimalistic, because what we have right now is an old version, so a 5 years old version. Market standards have changed, and when people come to a Hashflare or any other cloud mining website, what they want to see is not fancy stuff, but rather minimalistic professional stuff. So we also want to focus on that thing as well. We want to add some functions. We want to increase the scope of statistics that's provided by miners, by pools, that is reflected in the dashboard. So you also want to focus on that part. However, it will probably take more time than we expect. So the neatest tweaks will be added only after in the second half of 2018. What else? Well, we might add new mining contracts because people are asking for us about that. We are considering different options. For example, many are asking about Bitcoin Cash. I personally dislike that idea. I don't feel that mining a cryptocurrency that is controlled by a group of people like Roger Ver, his buddy from Bitcoin.com, and Bitmains and Pool, it's not really good. It's not the best thing to go for, because if something happens between Roger Ver, his friends, and Bitmain, it can, and it will also reflect on the Bitcoin Cash network. We don't want that to happen. We want everything to be stable, and we want people who purchase their mining contract to be sure that the cryptocurrency they're mining is legit. That's probably there will be minor tweaks here and there. We want to add some security tweaks. We want to add SSL authorization as another way to authorize yourself instead of using username and password, which is more secure for those who want that extra security. What else? We want to get rid of the affiliate program at some stage and move it to our partner networks. So the affiliates will be managed by the company that does this professionally, rather than by our support department, which is also time consuming and stuff. And probably one thing that we don't really plan to do now, which is just my wet dream, but I'd also wish to see some kind of machine learning added to our support. So, because there are issues, sometimes people ask questions which already have answers in our frequently asked questions section, but they don't look for it. But I'm trying to suggest a concept where the system could use the keywords from the request to understand whether there is already an answer for the question, to provide an instant answer to the person, and if the answer is not sufficient, then the person would be able to then contact the real person, not the robot. But what will it give to us? It will give the support department more time to answer real issues, things that require human attention as we speak.
Right, that would definitely make things much more efficient for you. Now, another thing I was wondering about Hashflare 2.0 is the API service that you guys are gonna work on, according to the blog post at least. So, um, what is going to be available with that?
Well, right now we do not have our own mobile applications, but everyone wants to do something on mobile. Some people want their mobile app. Some people just want their statistics. For example, you may want to have an aggregator that can soak up some information from different pools, from different services, compare between each other to find out who is the most profitable, who is the most honest, who is the most stable, etc. So having open APIs would allow us to share the data that is required for developers to build services on top of Hashflare, or using Hashflare, or using some information from Hashflare, because that creates new market areas, new market niches, and we want to allow people to do that, to toy around with Hashflare as they please, to to actually allow them to do what they want to do.
Okay, got you. Now these are some questions that people have asked me to ask you. Now, Hashflare on the website recently announced that the SHA-256 contracts have a limited available stock, and this has caused a lot of people to speculate about just how fast are you able to order and set up new hardware to keep up with the demand. Um, is this something that once they sell out, are they going to be sold out for a long time, or are you guys already working on getting new hardware and new facilities?
So what we're doing right now, we already have agreements with different hardware vendors, like Bitfury, for example. We are standing in lines for batches of hardware that will be shipped directly to mining facilities, to the closest to the vendor. For example, in China for Chinese, to Iceland for, well, for example, Bitfury. It's not really in China, but well, it has something to do with China, with Russia, with CIS. But they're in Hong Kong, as far as I understand. But you're not planning to host their equipment in China, but rather in Iceland. But that's one story, and I'm not really into that part of the business to understand how is the logistic working there. I just know that uh, we are trying to get as much hardware from as many places and vendors as possible to make sure that we keep the supply within demand. However, you see, you never know beforehand what kind of orders and how many people would create a demand. In the last couple of months, we got more users than in the past year, and we didn't expect that. Nobody expected that. Nobody expected that the Bitcoin price would be $20,000. But here it is, and here is the massive amount of people just running into us, running into Hashware, Genesis, all our competition, ourselves as well, just clearing off the shelves. And we might at some point of time obviously run out of hardware. Ideally, we try to avoid that for as much as possible. And even if we stumble upon the fact that we have no hardware to sell, we will surely not open the pre-sales like Genesis does, because we don't really like that. Because when you pre-order hardware, and for example 3 months come by, you understand that, well, in 3 months a lot has changed, and you may not be interested in the cloud mining as much as you wanted before, or vice versa. You never know. So to keep ourselves and our customers satisfied, and to keep our support department satisfied, we don't want to make like long run promises, like selling pre-selling contracts. That's just ridiculous for us.
Right.
I think that right now there won't be any shortages because just recently even Bitmain decided to release 3 batches of hardware when they only promised one. So it seems that every manufacturer has increased their production in several times just to upkeep with the demand.
Right. Wow, that's great news. I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to hear that. Now, speaking of hardware, now a lot of people out there, and they're skeptical about Hashflare because they think, we haven't seen any of the facilities on the internet. Like I know Genesis Mining, they like to post all these videos and stuff. So people are wondering, are there any like pictures or videos available on the internet of the facilities that you rent? Or I know you have your Instagram account, but other than that, do you guys have anything on YouTube or something like that?
So when we have been deploying the hardware to mining centers, we didn't make much photos, and now we understand that was a really bad idea. So we have some photos, well, maybe like a couple of dozens of photos on our Instagram. But what we want to do in the next months, in maybe 4 weeks, we want to prepare and publish a video of how we assemble our newly purchased and equipped mining farm in Iceland. So we believe that once this video comes out, all the questions will be over. I personally think that it's a bad thing that we didn't do that earlier, maybe in China, but well, it's a good thing that we still managed to execute everything correctly, and we're gonna publish a video soon. But currently, besides the photos or Instagram, I don't think that we have anything except that. But you can still find even my face. I mean, there's also my photo of me lying on top of a big pile of video cards, making a selfie. So yeah, you can still get there and find the information if you want to. People want more information, and I really hope that after the new video, we won't get even more requests for that. But we have an idea here. I don't think it's gonna hit live, but we have an idea here to put a webcam to the mining center, and in front of the webcam near the mining hardware, we're gonna put a LED line, like a LED screen. So you can type a message, and the message will be displayed on the screen. So every person would be able to get in, type a message, and see his own message live from our data center.
Wow, that would be really cool. Yeah, because there's a lot of fake mining companies out there that just steal people's money. So I understand why people are skeptical, but at the same time, obviously, Hashcoins and Hashflare are both reputable companies and been around for a long time. So anyway, I wanted to ask you about Bitcoin Cash because the whole Bitcoin civil war going on. I just want to know, what do you think about it? And obviously you don't like it, so maybe you could just go into a little detail. I know you already touched on it, but
Well, first of all, my approach to any possible Bitcoin fork, the Bitcoin fork is just a Bitcoin fork. If you want to bring in the technology, don't call yourself Bitcoin. What Bitcoin Cash developers, designers ultimately wanted to do is to execute the Segwit 2x fork and using it. And of course, it's a good marketing when your product is A, called Bitcoin, B, everyone who had Bitcoins also has your Bitcoin Cash, so you have done your marketing like halfway through. C, giants like Bitmain, some exchanges, some pools, and silly millionaires like Roger Ver are trying to promote. It's so where some people see profit, and well, it might happen that Bitcoin Cash price will increase. It will make some profit for those who believe, and in the long run, maybe Bitcoin Cash is going to be the revolution. I highly doubt that because we have had Bitcoin Classic, Bitcoin Unlimited, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Platinum, Bitcoin Black. We had all possible kinds of Bitcoin.
Right.
Yet none of them really do what they have to do. For example, when I just got to Hashcoins, like in the end of 2015, there was this Bitcoin Classic fork, and in a couple of months after that, after the fork was announced, I met John Matonis. He was one of the founding directors of the Bitcoin Foundation, and I asked him about the Bitcoin Classic. What does he think about it? And back then, Bitcoin Classic proposed the idea that we need to increase the block size from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes, and that will solve all the issues of Bitcoin. Just increase the block size. Back then, John said to me that he personally doesn't understand how that would solve the issue. Because, all right, so today you increase the block size from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes, in the months to 4 megabytes, in a half a year to 10 megabytes. It's not a solution. It's not a scalability solution. You're just increasing the block size and that's it. So there are now other solutions being deployed, like SegWit, like Lightning,
Right.
Solutions that are meant to not just add a number in the end of a string line and say that, oh, that's a solution, but rather a new piece of technology that does new kind of work that's meant to increase the scalability of the network by doing this, that. And I personally think that what Bitcoin Foundation, what Bitcoin developers team is doing is the correct thing. Maybe they require more support from outside. Maybe it would be better if more people would focus on developing Bitcoin. That would be actually great. But it's still better than just Roger Ver and his millionaire friends controlling the cash, saying that this will be the future economy of free people. And that's bullshit.
Right. Well, I appreciate your input on that, and I have one last question I want to ask you, and it's a pretty general question, but basically, what do you think the future holds for Bitcoin in general and Bitcoin mining? Do you think we're going to hit some roadblocks along the way, or do you think things are going to just keep on going the way they've been going?
Right. So we have just finished, but we are doing in Hashcoins. Besides Hashflare, we have other projects. One of them is Polybius. It's related to banking, finance, and payments. And working on that project, we got a lot of connections and information from the payments and the financial regulatory sphere. What I personally think is that the year 2018 would be full of different wonderful cases where regulators come to, to make justice, to bring, truth and legitimacy to projects and products and currencies. I personally think what's going to happen is the following. First thing, all the cryptocurrency exchanges will be required to get a license. All of them. All of them will be required to provide a solid KYC to get they have to know their customer to make sure that their customer's money is not like terrorists' money. So a lot of regulations will cover that. I think that as many Bitcoins as possible would be cleared of anonymity, so to say, but that will also allow other financial institutions like banks to eventually adopt Bitcoin or Bitcoin products like they have with Bitcoin futures right now. Right. Mining, I think that mining will still survive for as long as the Bitcoin price is increasing, because in Bitcoin price increasing causes more people to be interested in mining, to mine more Bitcoins and to increase network difficulty. which reduces the overall profitability of each individual miner, which is then compensated by the growth of Bitcoin. So for as long the Bitcoin is growing, for that long, we're going to see the hype. We're going to see more and more people coming in. And I don't know how much. I may even try to calculate how many times would these reputable medias call the cryptocurrency market a bubble in 2018. And at the same time, I want to compare it with Bitcoin price in the end of 2018. For some reason, I share the idea that the Bitcoin price might hit 40 grand by the end of 2018. It is quite possible for the price to double, considering it increased quite high, faster during this year than during previous years. So the speed might increase as well if we don't face any serious issues. I mean, regulations are good, but for example, if the Bitfinex and Tether case, which is now being heavily speculated, gets more issues, gets more negativity, and it's then later found out that there are some issues with Tether. For example, the USDT is not really worth what they tell us that it is worth. It's going to cause some exchanges to cause trust customers capital, which will also which may also cause some exchanges to collapse. People will lose their funds. Of course, the prices, the values will be growing and falling. You've seen the Ripple price. It went from 20 cents to $4 recently. It's quite huge. I personally think that those who aim for the long run, for example, 2020, 2025, to then liquidate their cryptocurrencies in cash, buy houses, yachts, and whatever, they just need to keep their funds within their cold wallets, to have control over the private keys, over the wallets, and everything's gonna be fine. Maybe there will be a collapse. I mean, the growth is quite big. We've seen earlier that every huge growth is continued with a correction. So there will be a fall, a collapse maybe, but those who will survive, and I believe that Bitcoin will be among those, and Bitcoin Cash won't, those who survive will may eventually form the new crypto economy, the new economy. Because before IPOs and stocks and shares and bonds, we didn't have those. We had some Vaxos before that. But when new financial products appear in the market, first they are criticized, they're hated, they're fought. Some people trust them, some people speculate on them, some people earn cash, some people lose cash. But in the end of the day, they remain, they solidify, they get more regulations, they get more common sense, they become more practical and secure for everyone. And the economy without IPOs, we wouldn't have companies without IPOs, we wouldn't have Google, Amazon, like biggest giants who collected funds from investors that allowed them to grow. Without credit, we won't be able to boost the economy. And I believe that if we do everything correctly, and if we don't put our heads to the sand every time we're afraid of something, but rather try to investigate and take a more managing approach, governing, regulative approach to things, bright future awaits us.
Right. Yeah, I tend to agree with that as well. All right, Edgar. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. It's definitely great to finally be able to talk to somebody from Hashflare, since I love Hashflare and I've been involved for a long time. And I know a lot of my subscribers are really going to enjoy this video as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
My pleasure. Thanks for reaching out. And if there's something else, just make sure to reach out to us. You might, if you want to visit our office, just using with a short notice, just we may arrange a meeting here. You might come, make a video here, talk to us. We are quite open to visitors, however, with a notice.
Okay, wow, that sounds great. Yeah, if I'm ever in Estonia, I will definitely stop by.
Make sure to come in summer.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Edgar, thank you.
Right, Jason, it was a pleasure.
All right, bye.
See ya. Take care. Bye.